Good afternoon. I'd like to call the meeting to order. City of Belleville acknowledges we are meeting today on traditional territories of many nations. We recognize and honor the historic relationship of Indigenous peoples to this land and acknowledge our shared obligation to respect, honor, and sustain these lands and natural resources contained within. We recognize all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit who call Belleville their home and support the need for cultivating a strong relationship with them. We look forward to fostering a path towards reconciliation and show respect for the Indigenous peoples who first lived and currently live on this land, now where we all reside together. Please remain standing for a moment of reflection.
May we be worthy custodians of all that has been entrusted to us. Help us to be concerned only for what will promote good government. May we bring to our council chambers minds that think and hearts that feel, always having respect for others, so that we may serve the people of our city in a helpful manner and for the good of all.
Please be seated. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Seeing none, I need a motion for the minutes of the council meeting held on October 27, 25 minutes to be passed. Moved by Councillor Chatton, seconded by Councillor Enright Miller. Discussion from the minutes. All in favor? Carried. Before we start with our first deputation, we were pleased this last week to have the Rotary Mayors of the Month, and I think some of them are in the audience, so I would ask them to come forward. We have a presentation, and they could give a few words on how they all want to become city councillors. So we have Juliana, we have Leah, Lauren, and Lexia. You're going to get asked what your favorite department was.
Oh, is it on? Oh, yep. Yes, sorry. Sorry, I'm nervous. So my favorite department, I definitely think, was the fire department. It was really interesting to know, especially on what they do to protect our city and making sure that it's safe and protecting our environment in general. And I really liked the fact that we got to see the fire trucks. That was definitely my favorite part, and that we got to see what they carried inside them and what they do to help people and protect people. I think that's really, really important, and that they literally risk their lives to save yours, and I think that that's a very good thing to have, and that people are willing to do that. It's pretty extraordinary. So yeah, that was definitely my favorite part. And I also want to say it was this experience has definitely been very, very fortunate, and I'm so grateful and thankful that I got to know all of you, and it was just really, really nice. So I'm so happy I was able to get this opportunity, and it was also very, very nice to meet you, sir. I really, really do appreciate this opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, I don't know if we have any questions. I'd like to thank Rotary. I believe they've been doing this for maybe 25 years or 30 years, that they've been bringing future bureaucrats, maybe future councillors, future mayors to know where the city and take a look at the city. Wastewater plant, water treatment plants. It's interesting how a city runs. So thank you, Rotary, and thanks for participating in our program. Questions at all? Was there any questions? Or no? Okay. Good deputation. Thank you. Next, we start with Chief Mary Rod and Heather Smith, Belleville Police Service Board. Motion to receive that deputation, please. Sorry, moved by Councillor Carr, second by Councillor Chatton. All in favor, carried. Chief Mary Rod, Heather Smith, Belleville Police Service Board, Chairperson, Belleville 24 Annual Report. The floor is yours. Hi, Heather.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Your Worship, Mayor Ellis, councillors, staff, and guests to the Horseshoe. Thank you for providing Chief Rod and myself the opportunity to speak with you today about the Belleville Police Service 2024 Annual Report. Our service operates in close partnership with the community, and we value the contributions of local organizations, advocacy groups, and residents who work alongside us to build a safer, more connected city. These partnerships are essential to our shared success, perhaps never so much as during this time of complex social challenge. Our board and service remain committed to building our successes, adapting to ever-changing challenges, and innovating using data and analytics to guide decision-making to ensure we deliver policing that is adequate, effective, and accountable, and that meets the needs of our growing community. At the heart of our efforts is a dual commitment to keep our residents safe and to ensure the safety and well-being of the men and women of the service. We recognize that effective policing requires more than presence. It requires preparation. That's why we continue to invest in comprehensive training that equips our officers with the tools, knowledge, and judgment they need to serve with integrity, fairness, and professionalism. Chief Rod will highlight areas of progress. Our goal through this reporting is to not only assess how well we're doing, but to ensure that our service continues to enhance programs, leverage technology, strengthen community partnerships, remain accountable to the community we serve, and transparent in our actions in order to meet the needs of our community with excellence and care. We thank each of you for your care, interest, and support for all that our police service does as we work with this council to build a safer, stronger future for the residents of Belleville. And with that, I'll turn it over to Chief Rod. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Your Worship, members of council, colleagues of the city, all assembled. It's my privilege to give a report, my first annual report, on the activities of the Belleville Police Service for the year 2024. The old strategic plan was still in effect up until the conclusion of this year. We were guided by the vision of the day, the mission of the day, the values, and the motto. The themes that seem to be consistent and will be going forward are the collaboration with the community for purposes of safety. And professional and supportive workplace are what we're trying to achieve by keeping people well, fit for duty, equipped, trained to be effective and respond to whatever the world dishes out. And the third piece is the organizational effectiveness. In order to be adequate and effective under the legislation, we have to develop new and different capabilities, adopt modern technologies, and resource each officer to succeed each day. As you can see, the call volume has remained relatively static. We had a slight reduction in calls for service year over year in 2025, but not a significant number. The population is, you know better than I, a number on a sign, but we're policing a daytime population, a regional population, and the actual tax base and transient population of the city. Our staff levels have not really grown significantly in pace with the expectations of the population and demands of the legislation. But reportable calls for service, you can see, have gone up almost 9,750. Each reportable call means there's after the fact investment of time and resources of at least the officer, clerical staff, potentially court staff, et cetera, et cetera. So there's many stakeholders involved in each transaction that demands a report. Total calls for service, as I say, was 28,593. That's just down slightly, but modestly, year over year, 3% decrease. Total budget, you're quite aware of that. I won't dwell on that point. And non-reportable occurrences were in a decrease of 5%, but we have to go. We don't know what we're going to, and they're all call volume. And some of the non-reportable calls that we do deal with have to do with the social disorder, the downtown core, or wherever we intersect with homelessness or encampments or the mentally ill. The total charges are up, 7,151 charges. They could be criminal or under any other statute. What turns on that is the fact that with body-worn cameras and technology, we have responsibility for disclosing these incidents for court purposes, even with provincial offenses, or some other inquiry. That provides a backdoor burden on our organization. Driving-related charges were up year over year, 11,062 more, 35% increase. We were able to scramble for the latter part of the year, more concentrated enforcement, and we put an emphasis on it, and we've seen the outcome and impact. The CPIC entries, 2,320 of those last year. Again, 17% increase in that kind of activity. It's very detailed work. It has to be done and modified and current on a regular basis, so it's not a one and done type transaction or input. It's a living thing until matters are disposed of in court, and it's another burden on the service. The things that we want to tell you about is we serve, as you know, under the Ministry of Attorney General, the courts, and we transport prisoners, we secure prisoners and manage their custody in our provincial court. Last year we had 1,340 prisoner transports, which was a 1% increase year over year. The security screenings at the front entrance of the court increased by another 1%, 193 transactions at the front door. That's keeping the location safe for the judiciary, witnesses, the accused themselves, and any parties who may be attending court. The total crime calls were 4 less than year over year, but 4,197 crimes. Some of those cases will be dealt with in 6 months from the time it occurred, some a year, some 18 months, some as many as 4 years out. So they're the gift that keep on giving in many cases. Thefts were down last year. You can see what was up. Mischiefs to property, 442 incidents. Fraud were up. Bail was down. And assaults were up. So we have a propensity for breaking windows and setting fires and those kinds of things in Belleville. And assaults, domestic and otherwise, are a real concern to our people. Harassment is, we had 71 more incidents last year for a total of 256. Shoplifting was up. We only had 38 more, but we're noticing in this calendar year more professional, organized, crime type related thefts from stores and shopping facilities. Threats were up, and breach of probation up. Break-and-enters were down, and we're wondering if there's a correlation between break-and-enters and thefts that has to do with people just not phoning, thinking we can't deal with it, won't have the capacity to deal with it, or tried before and they didn't have the outcome or the results they wanted. We've heard that information through our strategic planning processes and the town halls, the focus groups that we held. The total complaints that we received was 26 from LECA, local, 8 more than last year, I'm sorry, and 8 this year. And chief's complaints, 8, 6 more than in 23. The thing that we want to emphasize here, and use of force, 43 incidents, is when you do the math, essentially, it's less than 0.14% of all interactions result in a complaint or a use of force. So if any business had that complaint ratio or conflict ratio, that would be considered a gold standard business. The men and women of our service are serving with integrity, and you can be proud of what they do when they intersect with the public. Statistical overview, I don't know if you can see that data. The key thing I want to show you is that with property, crime was down. Again, that was attributed through the dialogue we have with the community that we don't bother you, we don't think you'll come, or we tried a few times, we didn't get any arrests or result. And so we really are affirming in our strategic plan that you'll hear about in the next delegation, a commitment to community-based policing, problem-oriented policing, and concentrating on solving property crime. The key issues on the other slide with violent crime, we want to sort of highlight the homicides, an increase of 200%, that's 3. 2 more than the year previously. That was significant investigation time and resources and expertise invested. Attempted murder, 4 of those last year. They're the same as a homicide in terms of our investigation, and they used to be simpler because at one time we had 1 more witness at least, and now we can't count on the person who was the victim to be a witness. So it is more complex to investigate these kinds of violent offenses. The assaults, 11% increase, and as I said, the violence and the propensity to be violent and or to threaten violence seems to be on an increase in the community. In terms of collaborative community safety and our working with the community, we expanded the auxiliary program to 15 members, and we've achieved 118% increase in Instagram engagement. So with our addition of Lauren Wilkinson and a different philosophy in our service and how we reach out, we are seeing, and that was just last year with the change in philosophy. It's only getting better through 2025 since Lauren has arrived. Enhanced technology with digital note-taking, in-car video systems, next-generation interview recording, and cybersecurity are all technical improvements that are instruments of the truth. The record will speak for itself, and the evidence will be very clear to all who see it. And it's being very useful for investigating complaints against officers and or accelerating trials in court. We investigated 2 fatalities and 2 serious injury collisions last year, again involving reconstruction and multidisciplinary investigations by our members and sometimes third parties. We expanded youth engagement and education, and we put an emphasis on being visible in high priorities. Particularly in the downtown core in the later part of the year, we were able to say, if you have nothing to do where you are, do it downtown. Be visible so that the pedestrians and the shoppers and the store owners can see that. And we had 75 school presentations across kindergarten to grade 12. So this slide, I won't drill down except for recruiting as a challenge. We continue to not see the numbers we historically had seen. Female sworn officer representation has increased to 26%, and there is an initiative across Ontario and Canada, 30 by 30. We are leading in that space, and pioneers like Deputy Meeks and others who came before have been the pioneers and trailblazers in that space. But we are on pace to meet 30 by 30 with upcoming recruiting. Recruitment success, 37 ride-alongs, resulting in 11 resulting in applications, and 28 participants in the women policing event, netted 10 applications. We delivered 7,412 hours of mandated and specialized training, and wellness initiatives included post-crisis support safeguarding program, therapy dog program, yoga and fitness, and more. And we know that our emphasis has to be on that professional and supportive workplace to ensure that people are well, that they are confident and competent to go out and address the community's needs. The operational effectiveness piece is we are, as you know, prescribed, mandated, legislated, and committed to complying to all legislation, and we have to improve our effectiveness with victims. And so we've increased victim referrals by 30% through the embedded victim support specialist. Our integrated mobile police co-response team handled 204 live calls, 274 referrals, and 35 outreach contacts, 93 consultations. So that's the mental health support space, the suicide type calls. They're high demand. They take a lot of time because we have to get it right, and there's follow-up and referral involved in that. We have the strengthened accountability and transparency through the body-worn cameras usage and quarterly board reporting. We're reporting to council for this purposes, the year in review. The strategic plan will be the next delegation, and we'll try to make this a standing agenda item so that we can share, hopefully in more real time with the annual report. But we will make this a regular habit to come and share a year in review. We conducted workload reviews to ensure efficient, effective service delivery throughout all corners of the city, and that rolls into our strategic plan. Crime Severity Index, I just wanted to bring your attention to this number. It's a weighted statistic per 100,000 of crime, severe crime categories like homicides, serious things of that nature. We are on there. You can see how we've tracked over the years, and we are sadly slightly outpacing the province and the country in terms of where we sit as a city. We are alive to trying to bring this in line, and again, it's a very finite, high, severe types of crime, murders, abductions, sexual assaults, those kinds of things. But they're the more serious. We still believe we have a very safe, livable community that we can all be proud of and take a meaningful part in. And thank you for your time. I hope I haven't blown past my 5 minutes too far. And if there's any
Thank you, Chief
questions,
Rod. Questions for deputation? Councillor Carr.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chief, for coming, and certainly appreciate these metrics. I think that tells a good picture. Just a couple of things. With respect to total calls at approximately 28,000, I've said this before, I think the province had an opportunity to really hone in, and as far as the Community Safety and Policing Act, to get policing back to core policing. Policing seems to be the catch-all. If you don't know who to call, you call the police, and you can see that based on your statistics and your calls for service. Out of the 28,593 calls in 2024, how many would you say are outside of core policing, approximately?
Well, typically, any police service anywhere would be somewhere between 20 to 25% of crime, and the rest would be non-crime type responses. That's right across the board, just about anywhere.
Okay, and so outside of crime, obviously there'd be other reasons to call the police that
That's
would
right.
be within the mandate. How much would you say out of that would be not really a policing matter to begin with, but yet people don't know who to call, so the police
know.
are the,
We're the call of last resort.
and sometimes the first too, right?
Oh, yeah, that's true too.
Even when you shouldn't be. And that's what I'm trying to get to,
Yeah.
is drill down to that number as to how much resources are being tied up in really non-police responsibilities, but yet you're obligated because the calls come.
So it's interesting you say that, because here's it's not a stat or an absolute, but I can tell you, for instance, one of the first things some services got away with was suspicious persons. They said, we won't go to suspicious person calls because they'll be gone when we get there, and there's no crime, there's no victim, there's just suspicious activity. But the reality is we don't know what it is until we get there, and what makes them suspicious is they just left the backyard of someone's house where they just broke in, or some vehicle they just broke into and stolen stuff, and we really don't know what they're up to until we get there. And so we have foiled many, safety or public safety or crime type events by intersecting upon those low-hanging fruit calls. The other one that stands out in my lifetime career is that noise was one that we thought wasn't a police matter. And one night in the city I worked in, there was 3 calls in succession. We had nobody to send. We said, this is a low priority. And it was just a banging noise on a wall. And so we had nobody to send, and we weren't concerned about it. So the last time said, look, this noise is really getting serious. I don't know what's going on, but something's going on next door. And we arrived to find a decapitation of a young under 12-year-old girl, and at Christmas time, and our officer was stabbed through the hand as she met them coming out of the house. So we never know what it is until we get there, and so we would tell the public to call us, and we'll try to be there at the earliest we can. And those are examples of why I think we end up being the call of last resort.
Yeah, and that was at a different community, correct?
That's right.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and certainly there shouldn't be hesitation. I guess my concern is, you mentioned a lot to do with homelessness and mental health. Not really a policing matter,
No.
Not even really a crime matter, where more mental health professionals should be involved, and unfortunately that's tying up a lot of resources.
That's true.
So understanding that figure certainly would help here for council to then advocate to the province to not only, in terms of funding for impact teams, but I see other communities where through the hospital, they're actually funding mental health nurses to be out in the community, to be taking on that frontline role. Some are actually opening mental health clinics through the hospital, but at a different location, simply to divert. Again, would take strain off the police service, really deal with the mental health and the health component to it. So diving into those numbers, I'll just throw that question out for you for maybe later, would help us in terms of helping to advocate to pull some of that workload off of the police service where it really doesn't belong in the first place. But if we could paint the picture as to the need, then it's a lot easier to advocate to the province to say we need more funding over in healthcare to really deal with this, because otherwise it's costing a lot over on this line for policing, and then it's impacting public safety because now you're on tiered calls and all the rest of the stuff that goes with it. So the other thing I was going to ask you with respect to violent crime, in terms of your overall numbers, are you seeing more known individuals to each other, so offender victim, than you do see stranger on stranger violence? Like, what seems to be the higher proportion?
Usually there's a relationship, and usually with the, particularly the times when you read about us seizing weapons, there's usually a story of a drug issue of some sort and a relationship, and but by and large, relationships are the basis of most of what we're seeing. The stranger things, we did have a significant incident of a significantly mentally ill and violent individual who assaulted a woman randomly in downtown. Fortunately, we put a community safety alert, and the agencies stepped up and interventions were made, and that individual's kind of off our dash right now. So that was a success story, but no,
Most violent crime, the individuals know each other or have some type of relationship.
And sadly, every day you'll see releases on
Intimate partner violence. Yeah, and I've seen those today. Through you, Mayor, last question. Previously, we were told, previous chief had said that basically policing in Belleville is almost 100% reactive, very little proactive. I think the last number I heard was in the neighborhood of 95% reactive, 5% proactive. Do you see any trend of kind of balancing that out where there's a little bit more build on the proactive side?
In fact, spoiler alert, that's in our strategic plan when we bring it to you. This is going to be, we're dividing up the city into zones. Every zone has been analyzed for workload and peak period demand kind of thing. Officers will be assigned to those areas. They'll be brought up to speed with crime prevention strategies, problem-oriented policing, trauma-informed approaches. They will have their areas of responsibility. They will go where they need to go, but it's where they go back to that matters. And you will see people dedicated to your constituency base and footprint in the city. And the downtown will be having, in addition to the reactive response, more dedicated officers as well, and a commitment to traffic safety based on problems and data and evidence.
That's great to hear. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Councillor Enright Miller.
Thank you, Your Worship. You're not getting away without me saying something. I just wanted to add, too, just with the police being the first line of defense, it's 24/7, 365 days a year. They never quit. So I just wanted to take a moment to thank Chief Rod, Deputy Chief Meeks, and Heather Smith for the presentation, and Janet's here, too. Thank you. I am so fortunate to be the Vice Chair of the Belleville Police Services Board and get to work with these wonderful people and see the dedication that our police service, sworn and civilian, do on a daily basis. The 2024 report reflects a year of significant progress, community collaboration, and operational excellence. The service continues to demonstrate leadership, innovation, and compassion in addressing the evolving needs of our community. Under the leadership of Chief Rod and Deputy Chief Meeks, the service emphasizes professionalism, collaboration, and transparency. This whole team works diligently to strengthen the community with trust while adapting to modern challenges, and believe me, they have challenges that this world is different than it used to be. The Belleville Police Service is not only maintained, but evaluating standards of safety, service, and community leadership through innovation, transparency, and dedication. The service continues to make Belleville one of the safest and most connected communities in Ontario. And I personally want to thank the men and women of the service for their unwavering commitment to keeping our community safe, supported, and informed. And a special thank you to the chief, the deputy chief, and the whole board, and all our civilians that are here today. We really appreciate it, and I just wanted to thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, any other questions? Councillor Kelly?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Chief, thanks for coming today. I was looking forward to your presentation. Just wanted to touch on the drugs and intelligence unit. We know that recently in this area, folks to the east in Tandanaga and just last week in Brighton area, to the west, over, I'm going to say, $2.5 million of drugs taken off the streets. And in the report from 2023 to last year, it went up 643,000 here, drugs seized in the city of Belleville. So can you just give us a little update? I know you were working with the OPP and your own unit for a special intelligent drug unit, if you will. Can you just give us an idea and reassure us that drugs aren't as prevalent in the city as some might think they are?
We are dealing with fentanyl and crystal meth a lot, and both are affordable apparently, and people are profiting on the misery of the marginalized and the mentally ill. And we are trying to interdict that at the every layer of the supply chain. We obviously don't want to criminalize the addicted individual, but we will take their drugs and seize them from them. If it's public display sort of thing, we will prosecute for small quantities. If they're trafficking for profit, we will attempt to prosecute. We may not have success at court, but we will do our job and lay charges and set that in motion. But we are very much focused on the intermediate and next level dealers, and we worked very collaboratively with Quinte West OPP for several years, and they have withdrawn their officers from our team to focus on their border issues and their own jurisdiction. So that called up a requirement for us to pull 2 people off the front line to backfill, plus vehicles and technology that came with the OPP package. But that is our commitment to continuing to do what we can do in our footprint. We had a situation not long ago where there was hand-to-hand deals happening in front of City Hall. His Worship and others brought it to our attention. We set up a covert operation and we interdicted the drugs from those people and arrested people who we knew were there to deal or prospect deal. And so we are on it, but it is, again, another whack-a-mole thing. It's we're right on the 401, just south of 7, and all roads lead to Belleville or wherever drugs are going to be consumed. And so we are alive to it, and it's a big machine, and until we get the money out of that machine and proceeds of crime, seize the waterfront properties and the boats and the cars and the cash, and get some return to the community, it's not going to change. So there's another lobbying point for communities.
Okay, any other questions? Motion to receive, moved by Councillor Enright Miller, seconded by Councillor Brown. All in favor? Carried. Before we go into Committee of the Whole, I'd just like everybody to stand for a moment of silence. It's Remembrance Day tomorrow, and to honor our men and women that have sacrificed their lives for our country and the men and women that still serve. Thank you. Thank you. Just a note, tomorrow's ceremony at the Cenotaph starts at 10:30. Hopefully we'll see a great turnout. I need a motion now to go into, rise and go into the Committee of the Whole at 4:34 with Councillor Enright Miller in the chair. Moved by Councillor Carr, seconded by Councillor Sue. All in favor? Carried.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. 8A, reports. The agenda shall include under reports items that warrant individual attention from council. 8A1, OLG Casino Reserve Fund Amendment. The resolution reads that the OLG Casino Reserve Fund is amended as outlined in the Director of Finance Treasurer's Report, number DF 2025-12. Can I have a motion? Councillor Chatton, a seconder. Councillor Thompson. Any discussion? Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, a couple of questions. We're looking at rejiggering the funding from the casino, and two items is the Economic Development Committee was at 10%, now is going down to 5%. Disaster indemnification and contingency was 5%, is now going down to 0%. But if you look at the financial statement on page 51, both of them were fairly well used. So I don't understand how we can take the money away and give it to another source when both of them are highly used. So can I have some explanation from our treasurer why he feels that we're justified in moving those dollars into another pocket?
Director of Finance, Mr. Ferguson.
Yeah, absolutely. Through the chair to Councillor Thompson and all of council. It's a challenge, of course, so we're looking at the priorities, strategic priorities of the corporation and trying to evaluate where to align the funding accordingly, as well as looking at where funding has been spent in the past and where other supplemental funding sources may be available. Associated with the disaster recovery and contingency, it's mostly been used for contingency, and we do have a supporting reserve fund established already for tax rate stabilization that deals with contingencies as well. So having a supplemental source for that as well, reprioritizing it towards doctor recruitment, which is a large community and strategic priority for the corporation. And on the economic development side, utilizing it has gone to some economic development related capital projects. However, I think we have been able to supplement MAT funding where available as well to support the economic development portfolio. And looking forward to our 10-year capital planning exercise, industrial development, so economic development associated with that. We have some very, very large investments coming through, which is going to be funded or is identified to be funded through long-term debt. So there are supplemental funding sources that have already been identified and aligned with those objectives, that it would appear that those would be the most ideal sections where we could realign funding.
So I'm more concerned about the economic development. We put 1.9 million, and economic development is such a vital part of our future of our city. And all of a sudden we're taking $2 million out of it, and you're saying we're supplementing it by other ways. But even down in the bottom part where and you say we're going to use reserves. Well, every time we go to reserves during tax time, we're saying we're stripping reserves again. So, I know the doctor recruitment is a vital part, and we need to find some funding for it. But I'm a little concerned of taking two items and reducing it down where we have been using it. But you've explained why you're making that rationale, and we'll see what the rest, and I'll put my vote where it needs to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. 8A3, 8A2, I was jumping ahead. City of Belleville collection policy. The resolution reads that pursuant to the Director of Finance Treasurer's Report number DF 2025-13, City of Belleville collection policy, Council approve the collection policy. Can I have a mover? Councillor Brown, seconder. Councillor Kelly. Any discussion? Call for the vote. All in favor? Thank you. Carried. 8A3, property cancellation, reduction, and refund policy. The resolution reads that pursuant to the Director of Finance Treasurer's Report, number DF 2025-14, City of Belleville, property cancellation, reductions, and refund policy, Council approve the property cancellation, reduction, and refund policy. Can I have a motion to approve? Councillor Carr, seconded. Councillor Sue, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. 8A4, interim tax levy report. The resolution reads that pursuant to the Director of Finance Treasurer's Report number DF 2025-15, a bylaw to provide for the implementation and collection of a 2026 interim tax levy be prepared for Council's consideration. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Thompson, seconder. Councillor Chatton, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried, thank you. 8A5, consideration of 2-hour free parking in municipal lots within the BDIA boundaries. The resolution reads that Council receive the Deputy Clerk's Report number DCC 2025-06 entitled Consideration of a 2-hour free parking in municipal lots within the BDIA boundaries. Can I have a mover? Councillor Thompson, seconder. Councillor Sue. Discussion. Councillor Thompson.
I'd like to make an amendment that a motion be amended to add and that the city implement 2-hour free parking period in the lots within the DBIA boundaries in 2026. I'm making that amendment if I can get a seconder, and then I'll speak on it.
Can I have a seconder for the amendment? Councillor Chatton. Discussion.
Yeah, I'm going to, putting this forward, and I must tell everybody that I'm the city councillor rep on the DBIA. So I sit in all their monthly meetings and their get-togethers once a month with their different merchants for an information session and so on and so forth. But during these meetings, and I'm going to go back to 50 years ago when I was downtown. Is parking an issue now? It was an issue 50 years ago. We're always looking to better utilize our downtown for pedestrians and businesses. First of all, I've never, in all my years downtown, never gone through a cycle where we've had so many merchants move in downtown. And the mayor will vouch for me and other ones, and Councillor Sue will say, but we've been out into so many openings. We're finally getting the downtown where it needs to be. We got merchants putting dollars into it, and I'll tell you, they're putting their dollars out of their pocket on the line to make a living. I don't know whether there's many millionaires downtown that own businesses. Some of them may have been more successful than others, but we don't have many millionaires downtown. So they're working their butts off. 9 to 5, 7 days a week, some of them 6 days a week, because they can't afford staff. So our job as a city is to support the merchants. Parking, they're agreeing to the parking increase from $1 to $1.50. The fee for passes, they're agreeing to. All as they want is 2 hours free parking. So I'm going to sort of go on the merchant, the person that comes downtown shopping. And I'm going to focus on the women more than anybody here. Because if a woman goes downtown shopping, she goes into a dress shop, how many dresses do they try on? They may try on 4 or 5 dresses. So are they going to do it an hour? And I'll tell you, when that customer leaves that store because they got to go to the meter, are they coming back? No, they're not. I've spent umpteen years in retail, and I must say, thank you to the merchants that have showed up down here today to support this motion or to show the support to get this motion passed, because they're the ones that are on the line here today. You know, we talk about the number of events they put on. They put on as many events as they can afford, because in the budget, the city gives them X number of dollars to provide for barricades or whatever every year. That hasn't increased in 7 or 8 years, maybe longer, sits at $75,000. So Mr. Reid can tell you that every year his cost, supply those, goes up every year. So how can they do 10 events when those 3 events cost the same as they did for the 10 events years ago, because of the increase in cost that we need to charge to cover our cost? So the only way they could do that is come to us and ask Mr. Reid to increase his budget. Again, going to be a budget increase. So it all comes back to the taxpayer. You know, and You look at the developers, how many stores has been developed over the last 3 years? How many have done renovations to put overnight stays in our city, apartments in our city? You know, I think we're doing not justice to the downtown merchants to not give them the 2-hour free parking. You know, and I'm going to just ask our bylaw lady to come forward, and I'd like to ask her a couple of questions. But while she's coming forward, I got an information part here, and I just want to read a couple of lines out of it. But increased flow at a cost of reducing average shopping time. Customers, if purchase increases a decreasing rate with shopping time and a negative sales for stores in the downtown area. Reducing shopping time, higher charges reduces individual purchasing, and thus total retail sales are affected. So again, it goes back, people need time to shop. Should they be paying for it? You guys are going to decide that tonight. And I appreciate whatever way you vote. My job is, as a councillor, to look after it. I've been in retail a number of years. These retailers are working. So Addie, on your cost of, now I got to get this, sorry. On the cost of the bylaw people, you're saying that it's, we're hiring 2 people to do the security, right?
Through you, Chair, we currently have a contract with Maxima Security to do our parking enforcement throughout the entire municipality, and they have a rotating staff of approximately 4 to 5 people. So it's overnight, daytime, evenings, weekends, paid parking enforcement, non-paid parking enforcement.
So you're adding the 2 hours of those staff time into the cost of this, is that right?
So through you, Chair, I believe the number that you're referencing is the 270, correct?
Yep.
So that 270 represents the lost revenue of approximately 165,000 for the projected increase of the hourly parking rates. So
Yep.
that represents that lost revenue plus 2 additional enforcement bodies.
So how much, those 2 additional officers, how much are they costing out of that 270?
$53,000 apiece, so 106.
So 100
6,000.
So, and you're telling me that we have to, they're not hired anyways?
So we have some enforcement officers right now, sorry, through you, Chair. We have some enforcement officers right now. However, this is the projected requirement to increase, to maintain the existing service level, because if we introduce 2-hour free parking within our downtown lots, it changes the way we have to administer parking enforcement. It becomes much more time consuming.
But through that, can they not do a little, you know, they're going to be down around all the other parking meters and everything else, and so they don't have to be strictly positioned at the parking lots to cover that. They can just cover that off and on.
Yeah, through you, Chair. We actually have a rotating enforcement mechanism right now where they rotate through the streets and the parking lots.
So so right now, if we do it, you have it down in here, that it's going to be about a 0.2% increase in tax levies if we do it all.
So that is only to, sorry, through you, Chair, that is only to account for the lost revenue impact and the 2 additional enforcement bodies. That equals 0.2% of a tax increase.
So we're going to possibly reject this tonight for a 0.2% increase in our taxes and all the other things that we do in this city. And without the merchants, without the traffic downtown, what do we got in the city of Belleville? What do we got when a merchant or when a manufacturer comes downtown, comes into the city of Belleville, sees all the stores empty? Are they going to want to set up a factory? I'll let you guys decide that. But I think we're doing unjust to these merchants that are doing their best, renovating, putting staff in, getting people downtown, and the DBIA has worked very diligently, and they've gone through some pretty tough times in the last 3 years. And I know I'm talking a long time, but I'm very passionate about this. The DBIA went through 2 or 3 years of homelessness downtown, and they're still going through it. We get encampments, people are not wanting to come downtown, and now we're going to deter them more by not giving them free 2-hour parking to entice them to come back downtown, to make our city vibrant and make what we want in our city is a downtown. When you go back to 50 years ago, and I've heard it from people, how are we going to get the merchants to be uniform hours? That's the job the DBIA is going to have to be focused on to get more uniform hours, and I agree with that. Uniform hours is a problem downtown, but we got to get them downtown first to get the uniform hours. So I'll rest it at that and listen to the rest, and if I had that first word, I can have last word. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Thank you, Manager Hill. Any questions? Any further discussion? Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question really is directed towards the Director of Finance. And thank you for Ms. Hill for clarifying the number. $270,000 or a 0.2% tax increase. Could Finance confirm that 0.2% tax increase is a result of taxpayers having to pay more money?
Director Ferguson.
Through the chair to Councillor Brown and all of council, it's representative of what the tax impact would be. So that is the parking study identified rate increases and expenditure requirements associated with the operation and the capital forecasting. So absent changes in parking revenue, it would represent what we would have to put in from the tax base to supplement the deficit, or look at making changes to the parking operation.
And if I may, a follow-up question again to the Director of Finance. The $270,000 that is currently projected would be either lost through revenue or an increase in cost. Phase 1 of the parking study, could Finance confirm what the actual benefit would be from the Phase 1 that will be included in the operating budget? I'd just like a comparison of what we're losing versus what we had projected we would gain from Phase 1.
Director Ferguson, please.
Through the chair to Councillor Brown, currently the revenue projections for the 2026 operating budget have about a $275,000 increase across meter, permit, and fine revenue.
So in reality, and I just want to confirm, 275,000 was projected as an increase in 2026, and this would take out 200, either through increased costs or loss of revenue, would be 270. So net that all out, about Phase 1 would result in about 5K in our budget. Is that correct?
Through the chair to Councillor, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. Any other discussion? Councillor Kelly.
Thank you, through you, Chair. So I sit on, just to be transparent, I sit on the Transportation Committee, and we've had this in front of us now for several months. And I'm also the city's Economic Development Chair for the city's committee, and I've worked closely on many projects with the downtown over the last 100 years. So, you know, this is just my perspective. In 2025, 19 new businesses, 8 have closed. Foot traffic is down. We just heard from the city's chief of police and some of the challenges, and he alluded to the downtown. And I know, and the mayor knows, over the last several years, the discussions we've had with the downtown businesses, with some of the unhoused and some of the challenges that's caused in our downtown, whether it's violence, drugs. I think it's fair to say residents in the city of Belleville haven't felt safe. And If you don't feel safe, the challenge is to go to that place and spend some time. When I look at our downtown, I look at the successful festivals and social and community things. And I will touch on the summer solstice, June 21st, Home Run, Blues Fest, Jazz Fest, Caribbean Festival. I look at the successful social programs, the Red Dress Walk for missing Indigenous women and children at Market Square, and they make their walk downtown. The Light the Night for the Three Oaks was just a few weeks ago. This area is the highest in the province for domestic violence. And here we had Three Oaks initiating that walk in our community in downtown. Empire Theatre brings wonderful attractions to our city. And I spoke to an Airbnb owner in downtown Belleville this past Friday. And without the success of the Empire Theatre and our summer-driven events, it would be a lot quieter for the Airbnbs. And we have 3 registered downtown, and it's no surprise or no secret that there's more. So those members that have, or folks that have Airbnb, do the right thing and step up to the plate and register. You know, thought about this long and hard, and it's complex. They just went through the pandemic and all the other challenges I touched on. And it's such a, when things are all moving, all the parts are moving, it's a beautiful spot to be. The city gives downtown $75,000, as Councillor Thompson touched on, in-kind services. So that means any event that's going on downtown, the city up to $75,000, that means putting up barricades, outdoor washrooms, all of that stuff. That's what that means. The facade grants, the special events. We just invested, I think it was 10, 15 years ago, $35 million to enhance our downtown. So I've thought long and hard, had many conversations about this. I questioned the timing. Is it something that we could direct to the operating budget in February? It comes back to the timing of this. And we're coming into the festive season, and the city on Friday night with the Festival of Lights downtown is having their enchanted Christmas and outdoor markets and horse-drawn carriages. I'd sooner have them working with us than against us, or feel like we're against them. And I understand the impact of the $270,000 to potentially the taxpayer. But if we could defer this and see where we could possibly find or look at reductions. We talked about adding 2 staff members. We already have the hotspots in there. There's been some infrastructure moves as far as technology. And this is a tough one because we need a vibrant community. And when's the last time you went to the farmer's market throughout the week, but particularly on Saturday? That's our community. People are having conversations and they stay for a long time. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Councillor Kelly. Councillor Chatton?
Thank you, and through you, Madam Chair. I'm just going to keep it very simple. I think that we have a positive obligation to support the businesses that are in our downtown core. Revitalization, we've stood behind. We've put numerous dollars towards that. We're continually trying to drive traffic towards the downtown core. How can we expect traffic to go down and stay if they're constantly being pitted against with fees and issues with parking? So I just really stand firmly with there being 2-hour free parking downtown. I think that the business owners deserve it. I think that we need it as a city, and I hope it has support, and I would like to have a recorded vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chatton. Councillor Thompson?
Yeah. Anybody else? I'll just speak last.
Councillor Carr?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just looking at the staff report, the question was asked about the $270,000 representing a 0.2% tax levy. It also goes on to say that the parking capital cost of approximately $525 would represent a 0.38% tax levy impact. So we've been just talking about the 1%, but just through you, Madam Chair, to the Director of Finance, just to confirm that this decision would actually result in the combination of those two, and therefore over a 0.5% tax impact. Is that correct? Am I reading that correctly?
Through the chair to Councillor Carr, I think it's two options were provided. So the enforcement option or the purchase of the equipment. So I believe the option that's being discussed would just be the 0.2.
Okay, thank you. Because it wasn't clear in how the report was written, it was and, so therefore I was reading it as a plus. I don't want to get too far into the weeds here. I did ask for, and the consultant did provide an outline to council under correspondence last council meeting, and I didn't speak on it with respect to just free parking. And the reason for that request was quite simply is we hear from time to time, you know, the comment that there should be free parking downtown. Well, nothing's free in life. Somebody somewhere has to pay for that, for it to be free for others. And we've got the picture there that it would cost around $806,000, which rough math based on what I see here at the table, you'd be looking at 0.75% tax impact. The honing in on the parking study itself, and that's what this is, an extension of that discussion. The consultant spent a considerable amount of time consulting with the public, and the survey was clear that the public felt that there should be more free parking unless it required a tax increase, which when that occurred, that priority fell way down on the list on that survey. And so basically patrons wanted it free but didn't want to pay for it through their property taxes. So therefore then it becomes user pay. And there are various models throughout Ontario, and I know our consultant discussed a few of those. And I think the important thing is you can't use a one-size-fits-all approach, because every single one of those downtowns have a different microeconomy, if you could classify it at that. And it's those variables that drive the traffic in and out. But at the end of the day, the parking system should be set up that it's self-sustaining. And the consultant that did the work simply said, this is what you need to do to increase your revenue, to pay for your costs. Maintaining parking lots, you know, as mundane as that sounds, is not cheap. And, you know, and I know that the public is quick to point to other areas where you can shop and there's free parking. But let me tell you that those businesses, through rent, are paying considerable amount of money for rent in order to maintain the parking lot in which people enjoy that free parking. So again, somebody has to pay for that free feeling, if you will. In this instance here, we have free parking after 5. We have free parking on the weekends. Many of the events that were listed off by a councillor across the way there are events that happen in the evenings or events that are happening on the weekends that there is no paid parking. And so you're talking about a very small window of time during the day where there is still that free option for 1 hour. And then after that, there's a small nominal fee to pay. You know, and that's not any different than many downtowns. In many other downtowns, you'll pay more than $1 or $1.50 for that hour of parking. I think some of it too is what do you mind paying for what you're coming down for, really? You know, when you're coming down for events or you're coming down because you want to be here because there's a restaurant you want to visit, a store you want to shop in, or an attraction that you want to participate in. And we have a lot of attraction type businesses downtown too, where you can do different activities. Are you really batting an eye at parking because you want to do that experience? You know, you go to some very large cities and you pay enormous parking fees And people pay them because they want to go to the event. You know, not that we can compare ourselves, but I can tell you that the city of Toronto, if you wanted to park to go to the World Series game, you were going to pay a lot of money. And a lot of people didn't hesitate to pay for it because there was a big event to go to, and that was the thing to go to. And it's like anything else. It's the attraction that drives the traffic. The parking is the consequence of how do we maintain the lots. Are they plowed, lines painted, paved, and repairs done? Somebody has to pay for those. I think, quite frankly, we've honed in on this 2-hour limit or free parking as the silver bullet that's going to solve the issues with respect to the economy downtown. You know, I know that it's been said that there's a perception that it's unsafe downtown. Well, I would argue, is the perception real, or is reality different from that perception? Because we can go a little bit ways to the east and look at the city of Kingston, they're downtown. They have crime, they have drug activity downtown, they have individuals that are suffering downtown. The difference is you don't see it as much because there's tons of people and it's busy and there's a blending. What you don't see is the foot traffic in order to blend in with what goes on. And so then people feel that if I'm the only one down here, because maybe that only one store is open, I don't feel safe, so I'm not going to go at all. I'm saying all that to say that there's an economic side to this that is outside of council's control, and I don't think shifting parking by 1 hour during the day, Monday to Friday, is going to be the silver bullet that deals with the economic issues down here and driving traffic. It's about the stores, it's about the restaurants, it's about the attractions, it's about when are you open, and you know, I'm not even going to talk about uniformed hours, but when are you going to open to get and capture the majority of the residents that have money to spend that want to frequent a business? That's really what it comes down to. But at the end of the day, what residents are telling us in that survey is very clear. Is I want free parking, but if that free parking means that my taxes have to go up, no way. And my concern is, and you know, I've asked many times where we're at in terms of pre-budget approvals for our tax increases, and I know the mayor and staff are working on the budget right now, and every percent and every 0.5%, every 1/4%, it's going to matter. And we're talking about affordability for residents. I just don't know how we can look at this in isolation and make yet another pre-budget approval that when we sit here on budget day, we're going to be shocked as to how we got where we got. And so it's within that larger context. So this is not me beating up on downtown by any means. This is me looking at that 30,000 foot view and how do I balance this all out, knowing what we see in that consultant's report and the surveys and the feedback. And so I would encourage the BDIA to provide us with the metrics, provide us with the economics so that we can understand, support where we can. But again, and Councillor Thompson, you know, and you know, he's provided some good history here, and this has been tackled forever. There's just no silver bullet with respect to parking that is going to make or break it. So anyways, I just can't do it looking at the larger picture in terms of the cost pressures on the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Carr. Councillor Sue.
Through you, Madam Chair, thank you. I owned and operated small business in Quinte area for 25 years. And I know small business people work morning till night, every single day. That's what I did. I opened my store 6 a.m. and closed at 12 midnight every single day. I worked Christmas Day, New Year's Day, Thanksgiving Day, even on my birthday. So, you know, small business is really important to our city. That small business brings our city vibrant, make it work. They need to be survived. And as we already discussed, how much money they put in and invest in this business in order to make it living, pay for food and pay for their children, look after their children. So I feel our downtown, we've been talking about it, I think, many, many years. I heard about it all the time. And we need to help business in downtown area. So I feel I would like to support 2-hour free parking in municipal lots. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sue. Councillor Thompson, or Mayor Ellis, sorry. You want to
Just looking at the report what other cities are doing, and I noticed the city of Brockville collected levy approximately $52,000 a year. It hasn't been reviewed, so may not be cost effective. And this levy is collected to put towards the percentages of what we're going to need. Town of Tilsonburg, they have property taxes to recover the cost of free parking, annual cost maintenance, enforcement of parking bylaw, and their revenue is about $147. I'm just wondering if we had any discussion with the merchants of downtown or the BDIA that we could compromise on this somehow or get this figure. We have a tight budget, and I'll just be frank with everybody here. And to add, if the rate is almost 0.5%, there's no way we're going to get it under the 5%. So I wish this would go to budget, and maybe we could have, staff could meet with them and come up and maybe have a similar contribution like the town of Tilsonburg or the city of Brockville. I would support sending it to budget and staff having a meeting on this, but at the cost of 0.75% on your taxes or 0.5%, I can't do it with the way the budget is.
Councillor Kelly. Thank you, Mayor Ellis.
Through you, Chair, I'm just maybe how do we make amend the motion to have it directed to operating budget?
We have a motion on the floor. Can we do an amendment?
It is an amendment on the original motion, so with the consent of Councillor Thompson and Councillor Chatton, we can refer it to 2026 operating budget.
Councillor Thompson, would you approve that? No. Councillor Chatton, no. Any other further discussion? Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, I can't see it going to budget. We got the figures in front of us. Reality is reality. We talk about a 5% increase. When I got on council a number of years ago, we were worried about a 1% increase or a 0% increase. Now we're looking at 5, 6, or 7%. Reality is, this is not a silver bullet. I never said it was going to be a silver bullet. All I'm saying is, we need to make sure that our merchants stay viable downtown. Yeah, we're subsidizing the parking, but what do we not subsidize in this city at this point? There's nothing goes on in this city, we don't subsidize it. Let's face the facts. The taxpayers are paying for subsidizing the parking. If we pass it, they're already paying for subsidizing our recreation, our the sports center, our soccer fields. No matter what we do, our taxpayers subsidize it. So where do we cut it off? That's going to be up to you people. But we talked right now a 0.2% or a 0.38%. Now somebody's saying 0.75%. I don't know where all those figures are coming from. In it here it says 0.38 or 0.2. That's the figures I'm looking at. That's the reality is. We're looking for a tax increase in this budget. Yeah, we don't know what the pre-budget approvals are going to be until budget. We do it for one, we do it for the other, but again, we have to look at it. You go to the Quinte Mall, somebody's paying the taxes, somebody's paying the merchants. How many small retailers are in the Quinte Mall? Probably zero, because they can't afford to go in the Quinte Mall. They come downtown where the rent's reasonable, they can make a reasonable living, And here we are scrobbling over a small increase in our taxes to keep them alive. They can't go to the Quinte Mall because they can't afford to pay the rent. They can come downtown, make us a small boutique shopping. We don't have the great big stores like the Quinte Mall does. They're small retailers with staff working, as Councillor Sue says, 6 and 7 days a week. So we're going to quabble over a little bit of a tax increase for parking. I'm sorry, I can't imagine that, but you people will make the decision, and I'm glad you asked for a recorded vote. So that's my last statement. We need to be looking after the merchants, looking after the people that want them downtown, and encouraging people to come downtown, spend 2 hours. We got restaurants that are crying because maybe they can't get people in and out in 2 hours. If you go to a restaurant, how many times do you sit past an hour in a restaurant? Almost everybody. Almost all the time. Even if you go to the fast food places, you spend over an hour. So come on, folks, for a little tax increase, let's get with it. Let's support these merchants. And recorded vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Is there any further discussion? It's been great discussion. Thank you, Manager Hill. We have a motion on the amended motion on the floor. Ask for a recorded vote. Doug?
So this is the motion to amend the motion to receive. So it's for the city implement 2-hour free parking period in the lots within the BDIA boundaries in 2026. Councillor Brown?
No.
Councillor Carr?
No.
Councillor Chatton?
Yes.
Councillor Enright Miller?
Yes.
Councillor Kelly?
Yes.
Councillor Sue?
Yes.
Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
Mayor Ellis? No. The amendment carried by 5.
Thank you. We'll go back to the original motion as amended. We had a mover and a seconder. Call for the vote. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. 8A6, Bill 60, Fighting Delays, Building Faster Act 2025. The resolution reads that Bill 60, Fighting Delays, Building Faster Act 2025 report number APS 2025-44 be received, and comments in this report be approved in principle, and that staff be authorized to make submissions on behalf of the Corporation of the City of Belleville on Bill 60, Fighting Delays, Building Faster Act 2025, and any associated regulations outlined in the financial analysis section on attachment 2, 3, and 4 of this report. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Carr, seconder. Councillor Brown, any discussion? Seeing none, call for the vote. Oh, sorry, Councillor Carr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd ask staff for a report on this. I think it's important that we submit the comments regarding Bill 60. It's funny, these building quicker, faster, and really fast, or whatever speed you want to call it, legislation that seems to be introduced by the province actually hasn't increased building. In fact, it's slowing down. And even under the provincial fall economic statement that was just released recently, they've taken out their hard target of 1.5 million new homes by 2031 and have decided to make it as maybe a lofty goal rather than delivery. So it's interesting that the legislation isn't actually delivering this fast speed that they intended to. I'm not going to get into it. There's a lot of stuff here that staff have outlined. The bigger issue that I'm seeing and a trend that's occurring is the province is very slowly, with these housing legislation, removing individual municipal oversight as to how their community is built. And when you look at some of the things that staff have outlined, particularly as it relates to density, the province is looking at a one-size-fits-all. And, We often complain about a very GTA-centric view of the world, and certainly Queen's Park has that. But the issue then becomes with respect to as-of-right density in terms of the infrastructure that's required with that density. And so for municipal councils to then plan that infrastructure, come up with a funding strategy, and then fund that infrastructure to grow it, we're slowly and methodically, or the province is slowly and methodically taking away that individual control by municipalities and removing more of the local planning. And so I would alert council to that, and hopefully other councils are paying attention, because I can see this continuing. We're seeing it now. The conservation authorities are going to get a rework. I'm assuming that it's going to be a complete gutting and take away that local oversight yet again. And so I'm seeing this starting to build up. And this is a trend that's occurring elsewhere. The province of British Columbia, I'm seeing the same thing. Trends there where legislation's coming in and removing that local oversight. And then it makes it difficult for us to then make those infrastructure decisions. The other interesting thing here is in this new Bill 60, it actually allows the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing to go against the provincial policy statement on planning, which is bizarre considering that the provincial policy statement is the planning principles that the province puts out that all municipalities are expected to uniformly comply with. And here they're allowing the minister to be exempt from that provincial policy. So despite the bizarre sounding framework that's there, it goes to show you that this is going to be something where the minister of the day or the premier of the day is just going to decide this is the way it is, and the local oversight is gone. So these are just some of the big red flags I see. The staff have gone into some great detail here, and I appreciate that, and we should definitely be submitting and then following along as to see how this actually plays out and impacts us locally. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Carr. Any further discussion? I call the motion. So, Councillor Brown? No. Sorry. Call for the motion. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. 8B, consent items. Council may adopt consent items by one motion, but prior to consideration of such motion, members may request that specific items be removed from consideration under such motion, and council shall consider such items individually. I'll go around the table to my right. Councillor Kelly?
I did want to pull one, sorry. I want to, maybe we're not there yet, the short-term accommodation bylaw.
Yep, 8B,
Okay.
8B3.
Yeah.
Thank you, 8B3, Councillor Brown, sorry. I'm looking at you and I'm calling you.
He's Carr, I'm Brown.
You're much better looking.
Thank
Oh,
you.
sorry.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Nothing. Okay. Councillor Chatton.
Already pulled, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Sue?
No, thank you.
Mayor Ellis?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Carr, you are good looking too.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. 8B2.
8B2, thank you. Councillor Thompson?
No, thank you.
Motion to receive 8B1, 8B4, 8B5 with the exclusion of 8B2. Councillor Chatton, seconder. Mayor Ellis, all in favor? Carried, thank you. 8B2, that was pulled by Councillor Councillor Carr. I'm all over the place. Thank you. It's all you. Mover, Councillor Carr, will you move it? Seconder. Councillor Brown. Councillor Carr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is pertaining to administrative monetary penalty system, and as the report outlines that this system will improve service, fairness, and cost recovery, and the province actually encourages the use of AMPs. This has been discussed at Transportation Committee, and the motion there was to have this referred to the 2026 budget deliberations, and I see the report outlines that due to timing, that it won't be able to be considered in 2026. So I was wondering through you, Madam Chair, if staff could explain what that timing issue is, and what does staff envision for the timing going forward, and is there any council direction necessary to advance consideration of AMPs as soon as practicable.
Thank you. Manager Hill, could you answer that question, please?
Through you, Chair. It really just, like the report says, it comes down to timing and being able to bring all of these pieces together and forward to get a full comprehensive operational impact.
Okay, and so obviously it won't be ready for 2026. So my second question is what, through you, Madam Chair, to the manager, what do you envision in terms of timing of moving this forward? And is there any, right now, there's a motion to receive this report to basically say that it's not coming right away. There is a motion for the Transportation Committee that sits there. Is that enough for staff to continue to proceed to bring it forward? And if so, when may that occur? 2027?
Through you, Chair. So ideally, you'd be looking at an implementation time in 2027. However, just because this can't come forward for the budgetary considerations, if it is the desire of council to start laying that groundwork, we can definitely start doing that in like mid-2026. It just won't be something that you guys can approve for the operational cost of the budgetary implications.
Okay, Madam Chair, then, so is there any direction that council should be providing to staff to move this forward?
Through you, Chair. This report was basically to bring forward the alternative to show that there is a secondary system. So if it is something that council does desire, you can provide the direction to start getting these pieces together. It just won't be included in your budgetary implications for this year. So we can start getting those pieces in place for the next budget cycle.
Okay, thank you. Madam Chair, can I make an amendment then?
Through the chair to Councillor Carr. The enforcement software is in your capital budget. We can't move forward with AMPS until the enforcement software is in place. Then it would start initially with parking, and then it could be rolled out to the other regulatory bylaws. So it's all dependent on the decision on the enforcement software. There are funds to start to implement the enforcement software should it be passed during capital budget.
Okay, so basically the decision of capital budget will then inform staff whether to proceed or not any further?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Manager Hill. Any other discussion? Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to encourage us to look seriously at the enforcement software during capital budget. We know full well from the provincial offenses POA budget that a large volume of the tickets, parts 1, 2, and 3, are generated out of the city of Belleville. However, it is through an agreement that was established back in 1998, 1999, is we receive a portion of this. It is a common occurrence from the Belleville Police Service that they go through and issue lots of tickets, but they actually don't result in any income for them. And it's going to Quinte West and it's going to Hastings County. So I think the opportunity for us under AMPS and initially with the Part 2s, the parking component, affords us an opportunity that Belleville can start actually generating revenue for ourselves and not having to share it with neighboring communities when in fact it is something that is realized here. And then certainly, so I'd like to encourage it so we can begin with parking. And then I'm looking forward to the day we can actually get Part 1s and 3s on there as well. So I'm certainly support of receiving it, but I also hope that we can, it's something that we can move forward during the capital budget process.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. Any further discussion? All in favor of receiving the report? Carried. Thank you. 8B3, Councillor Kelly, you pulled it. Will you make a motion to put it on the floor?
Yes, I'd like to make that motion.
Seconder, Councillor Chatton. Thank you, Councillor Kelly.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. Hoping to have a conversation with the manager of bylaw enforcement, Aggie Hill. Thank you, Ms. Hill. Just wanted to get an update. In my conversations last week with some of the Airbnb downtown Belleville, we have 3 registered in the city, and potentially there could be 20 to 30 downtown. And the number being bounced around with the city of Belleville as 130 Airbnb spots in our city. To me, that seems low, but where we are with just, I know I've asked this in the past, just technology and when can we finally get those numbers to be actually real time?
Through you, Chair. So I'd just like to make a slight correction. You referenced 3 licenses within the downtown core. There is more than 3 licenses within the downtown core. We do have those numbers available to us. Like I said, the last time this came through, we had approximately 42 active licenses at that point in time throughout the entire city. So that's all within city limits. We actually have a monitoring software. It's called Granicus, and that actually allows us to basically search the entire internet and all the operating platforms, except for the more obscure ones. That allows us to know who is individually operating, that matches listings to addresses to Google Street View, so we can actually tie them together. So the number of 115 in my last report approximately was the most active and up-to-date number that I could possibly get you.
Just a follow-up question. So am I to believe then, and that's good, that the 3 registered or licensed Airbnbs downtown, that is fake news?
Through you, Chair, there are definitely more than 3 licensed short-term accommodations in the downtown core.
You mentioned that there's close to 40.
Through you, Chair, 40 through the entire city, so within our entire city boundary. So there's about 42 of them.
Okay, just my own opinion, I would believe that to be fake news.
Through you, Chair, I'm not exactly sure what to tell you on that opinion, but I can tell you that looking at the numbers at the time of the last report, that was the close effective number. I believe that there were 2 going through the application process, which we counted in that 42.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Manager Hill. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried, thank you. 8C, information items, we only have 1, so can I ask for a motion to put it on the floor? Councillor Chatton, a seconder. Councillor Sue, any discussion? Seeing none, motion to approve? Thank you. 8C2, request support of following letters, resolutions. We have none. Items of interest, 8C3, we have none. Rise and report, a resolution that the Committee of the Whole now rise and return to Council at 5:32 p.m. Mover, Councillor Chatton, seconder, Councillor Brown. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Enright Miller. Bylaws, I need a resolution that bylaw number 2025-175, 176, 177, 178, and 179 be read and passed. Moved by Councillor Chatton, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Discussion, all in favor? Carried. New business. Any there? I have 1. Start with mine. I need a mover and a seconder that bylaw number 2025-181, a bylaw to approve and authorize the execution of a medical service agreement between the corporation and the city of Belleville and David Clevelar be read and pass this 10th day of November 25th. This is a newly added nurse practitioner that it would be. Moved by Councillor Chatton, seconded by Councillor Enright Miller. Discussion, all in favor? Carried. Any other new business? Motions, we have 1. It's quite long. I'll start and then top off to Councillor Carr. Primary healthcare in Belleville, where's Ontario?
I'll move as written.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Carr. Seconded by Councillor Chatton. All in favor? Carried. Councillor Carr, discussion on this. Councillor Carr, you're going first.
I gave you the favor to not to read it. Now your favor is for me not to talk about it.
No, I put you up there. So.
I told you I was going to talk about it. That's why I said you didn't have to read it.
Okay.
All right. I won't take too long. Simply, it's about asking council to have the mayor write a letter to the Minister of Health. The province, through their, let me get the notes here, the Primary Care Action Plan, their government initiative is to connect every person in the province to primary care by 2029. As the motion reads, there's $4.5 million that was allocated to Hastings Prince Edward for primary care to connect up to 10,675. And We made a decision tonight to look at allocating some casino reserve towards healthcare, primary care. But in our last finance committee meeting, it was mentioned that we may have to start looking at property taxes for the purpose of recruiting doctors. And I don't think we should be buying doctors, quite frankly. The province, it's funny, and I mentioned this before, but I'm going to repeat it. We have had so many conversations in this place. The mayor has declared a state of emergency to get the province and the federal government to step up to address homelessness, mental health, and addiction. And we continue to advocate for that because that is their responsibility, and we've all said that. Healthcare is a provincial responsibility. And at some point, we have to say, enough is enough. We can't fund something that it's not our responsibility. And now that we're teetering with the thought of adding property taxes to buy doctors to come to our community is a line that I think we need to really have that sober second thought before we move forward. And so there is a previous motion to have the Ontario Health Team for Hastings Prince Edward to come to report on what they're doing with the money to deal with getting residents primary care and making that connection. That still remains outstanding. We need to hear from the minister in terms of their commitment and maybe a reaffirmation of that commitment, and to just point blank ask the minister, but in addition ask our MPPs the same question as the motion reads, should municipalities be actually buying doctors to come to their community? And I think collectively we need that information as we make decisions of whether we're going to add funding healthcare within property taxes. It was mentioned that we've got a tough budget year coming up. The pressures are significant for those things within our municipal responsibility sphere. We have a lot of external agencies that we have limited ability to influence, which is going to make it even more difficult. Do we really want to invite provincial downloading to the degree where we're going to start putting it on property taxes? And then if it starts out small, when does it end? And the other concern is once you start there and you build that into the budget, now it just becomes part of your base budget and you're funding healthcare at the municipal level. The province would like nothing more than to take this on, or to allow us to take it on. And I think we just need to have that serious conversation. So we need to hear from the minister. We need to hear from our MPPs. Interestingly enough, just on the thought of hearing from our MPPs and MPs, City of Windsor actually convened a roundtable this morning with their members of provincial parliament and their members of parliament to just have a conversation about those pressure issues that they're facing as a municipality, which they just simply don't have the resources. And it's addiction, it's mental health, it's primary health care, a lot of those things that fall in discussion around tables like this that really have nothing to do with our responsibilities here. So it was interesting, maybe something that we should contemplate down the future, but in the meantime, we should at least be getting some correspondence from our representatives and from the Minister of Health, and to ensure that they're taking on that responsibility as we have to make decisions in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Councillor Brown?
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to echo my support for the resolution. As I recall, it was several months ago, 2, 3, 4, I no longer recall, that we asked for the Ontario Health Team to come in and update us on the progress against the rostering of the 10,675. One of the questions that we ask with each new doctor recruit that we bring in here, and that our manager of physician recruitment answers for us, is how many patients is that doctor expected to be rostering, and by when? And yet we've invested almost $4.5 million of provincial funds, indicated that we are rostering just over 10,000 patients, and we have yet to hear an update of actually how many patients have been rostered and how many physicians they've actually recruited. Because you don't roster these patients against the 3 existing teams here in Belleville. So I think it's a critical piece to us having this discussion about physician recruitment and how much we invest, by understanding what's actually happening with the provincial funding that has been applied to this. How many of those patients have actually been rostered? I can tell you, as somebody, and Karen's not here today, as a family who did not have a family physician for a year and a half, and I know that's not very long when you compare the number that are sitting on Healthcare Connect for 8 to 10 years. But I can tell you that Health Connect had nothing to do with us getting rostered. It had everything to do with individuals having to make their call after call after call after call and putting themselves on every wait list. And we were finally successfully rostered, yahoo, with one of the doctors that we, the city of Belleville, recruited. That doesn't offer me a whole lot of encouragement that the rostering of these other 10,673 people that are still on the list are going to have the same kinds of success without clarity about, so how will they go about getting these doctors? Is there an expectation that we'll be doing open rostering? Will they be pulled off the Healthcare Connect list? Or they have to do like I did, which was to phone doctor after doctor after doctor and get on lists. So I think that that step of what the Ontario Health Team is really important. So I guess I would pose the question, and I'm not quite sure who the question could be answered by, is given that we've already asked for the Ontario Health Team to come in and provide us with an update, do we have a sense of will that occur before the operating budget in February?
I don't know who. I'll ask CAO Matt McDonald if he would have any type of response or if he'll have to get back to you on that.
Through the Mayor to Councillor Brown, we will again reach out to them and see if we can get them to appear and express the sense of urgency that it occur before the operating budget.
Okay. Councillor Kelly?
Through you, Mayor, just wanted to follow up on Councillor Carr and Councillor Brown's thoughts on primary care in the city. And here today, City of Belleville has agreed to terms with a nurse practitioner, and it's $5,000 for the signing, and then it's another $5,000, so that's $10,000 hit for the city, but in a positive way. Nurse practitioner in our city, anywhere from 800 to 1,200 patients, so that's good. I just wanted to touch on the health concerns of people in Ontario. And as Councillor Carr says, it's not really the focus of the City of Belleville or any municipality, but we are taking the lead on it by signing doctors and nurse practitioners. I've been following Bill 28, and this has been out now for about a year and a bit. And it's where a Liberal member and a Green Party member at Queen's Park. Bill 28 was homelessness ends with housing. A vision to eliminate homelessness. They asked for the provincial government to give a strategy. Where are they going to be in 10 years? We know from data from AMO, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, released last January, 80,000 unhoused, homeless in our province, and it's growing. It could be at 100,000 right now. So this Bill 28 was about prevention, getting real data, working for a strategy across the province for homelessness. They had the vote a week and a half ago, and it was turned down, didn't get to second reading. And MPP Alsop and MPP Brzee, our local elected members at Queen's Park, voted Bill 28, because they'll tell you, and their party will tell you, that they're doing so much and they're investing in hard hubs. We're now into the hard hub in 2026. I was just looking at Canada, Bell's Corners in Ottawa. They have a hard hub coming. Getting a little wonky there too. So it seems like anything the provincial government touches with healthcare, there seems to be chaos following it. And I was really disappointed in our local MPPs not supporting Bill 28 because it was everybody at Queen's Park working towards this. The Conservatives or the government believe that their hard hub is the solution. I guess we'll patiently wait and see.
Okay, call the vote. All in favor? Carried. Notice of motions, seeing none. Announcements. I'll start with Councillor Thompson.
I have two of them right now. First one, I want to announce that The mayor and I brought greetings to Nora and Bob Barber on their 65th wedding anniversary. She was in nursing home, and Bob met us there. That family has been in the barber business, Barber's Flowers business, for 135 years. So the mayor, I want to thank him for joining me, and it was certainly a pleasure to present them with their 65th wedding anniversary. Unfortunately, she has some health issues and may not be realizing it, but he was quite happy to have us there. And the second one, this Friday night, is our lighting display function. It all starts at the food. We got 5 food vendors. They arrive at 4:15. The Choral Society is singing at 5:30. We have the Bella from the senators there, and the Choral Society, and we also have an interpreter there for the evening. 6 o'clock opening ceremonies, and 6:05 the mayor will speak, then I will speak. Then at 6:15 we have the Sir James Whitney will come forward and speak about their display that they brought in, that we've functioned now for about a year, and also a very special display. The Court family have got a display that we're unveiling that night, and you all know what the tragic was, the Court family with the death of their 2 girls. So they've come along with a display. They've designed it, they bought it, and we put it up, and they're going to speak about that. And we'll go on with thanking the sponsors and so on and so forth. Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus will be there. There'll also be time to write letters to Santa Claus. Last year we had over 200 letters, and we're expecting that or more. Choral Society will come back on later. We have the drone display at exactly 7 o'clock. After that, and it's about a 10 or 12 minute display. Choral Society come back up, and they'll all wrap up about 8 o'clock. I encourage everybody to come on down. It's going to be very touching when the Court family speak. I've asked them, and they're quite happy to speak. But so this display has become so much of a family and a city-oriented display. So I encourage everybody to come down and support it. Councillor Barb Enright's on the committee. Councillor Chatton's on the committee. So it's a special event. Please come on down and enjoy it. 6 above, can't ask for better weather. No rain, no nothing, just evening down. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Councillor Carr.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Brown and I will be hosting a town hall in Ward 2 this Thursday, 6:30 p.m. at the Thurlow Community Center. We'll review the draft 2026 capital budget, discuss issues facing the city and council, as well as a question and answer session. We'll also broadcast this virtually, and so if residents want to join virtually, they can email me, councillor.carr@belleville.ca, and a link will be emailed to them. Thank you.
Councillor Sue.
Thank you, His Worship, and I would like to share a couple of things. On November 1st, the Korean community came together to honor our Korean War veterans. It was a touching reminder that we have not forgotten their service and sacrifice. The Korean War was once called the Forgotten War in Canada. For many years, its veterans received little recognition. It wasn't until 1991 that medals were finally awarded for their service. More than 26,000 Canadians served between 1950 to 1953, and 516 gave their lives. The war also caused millions of military and civilian deaths, reminding us of the heavy cost of peace. Remembering these veterans is about more than history. It's about honoring the spirit of service that continues today. On a personal note, my husband, Simon Sue, was the first Korean to join the Canadian Armed Forces in 1980. He was so proud to serve Canada. And the second one is last Wednesday, I had a little visit to 250 Sydney Street. I was so touched to see the heart of our community shine through the Adopt a Child, Keep Kids Warm program. Thanks to Quinte Broadcasting, the Belleville Police Service, the OPP, and all the incredible volunteers, more than 1,300 children will have warm coats, boots, and mitts this winter. I want to especially thank Constable Brittany Blake and her team for their dedication and kindness. This program, powered by community donations and volunteer spirit, truly shows that can happen when we come together to care for one another. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for keeping our kids and our community warm. Thank you, His Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Sue. Seeing Councillor.
Thank you. I won't be too short here, Mayor. Joking. Tomorrow is Remembrance Day, and then on Wednesday, the Belleville Firefighters Toy Drive is back. Legendary toy drive. They help out thousands of kids, and I know Ryan Turcott has been involved with this for several years, and thanks to Fire Chief Dan Smith and the team for the toy drive. Makes a big difference for families. Also, too, another good story to share. This past weekend, the U14 Skyhawks football team, they were in Picton for their conference championship, and they defeated York. That's a team out of Toronto in the game. So finally, the Skyhawks U14 football team are champions of their division. This weekend, they're back in Pickering for the provincial championships against Ottawa. There's 48 players on the U14 football team. Peter Gabriel and Brenda have been involved with Skyhawks 8 years now. I remember when they came to the city asking for support. It's a great program, the Skyhawks football and flag football in our city of Belleville. We have 18 youth involved playing on this, and right now in universities across the country, I believe there are 8 former grads of the Skyhawks playing university football. So build it and they will come and gradually have success. So congratulations to the Skyhawks.
Proclamations, I have one here today, November 17th as World Prematurity Day. I need a motion for the bylaw number 2025-180, a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council meeting held on November 10th, 25. Moved by Councillor Chatton, seconded by Councillor Wright Miller. Discussion, all in favor? Carried. Now I need a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Sue, Councillor Thompson, all in favor? Carried.